What is up, everybody? How are you doing today? Happy Tuesday. Week 3 is in the books. Welcome to the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael, and this is John.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are had a great weekend. Hopefully everyone did a little bit better than the Falcons in the fourth quarter. So hope everyone is ready for another great week. Week 4 is coming in.
We got a big one coming, man. It's already, I can't believe it's already week 4. Just yesterday, it was week 1. And, I can't believe time's flying this quick.
I know, just felt like last week we were just doing the COVID injury, or the COVID updates.
Yeah, nuts. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we have a packed show for you today. We have got a new segment. We're playing around with Tuesday episodes, kind of seeing what flows better, seeing what works better. So we've got a new segment, Studs and Duds. Little Studley, little Dudley.
Little people that didn't do so well. People that are, lost us some of our weeks.
Yep. Or one of some of our weeks, Yeah,
if you were lucky.
Yeah, very. So,
you listen.
But, and then, of course, before we get into that, I just want to bring up this beautiful Kenny Golladay autographed jersey. Look at it, John. Just look at it.
We have to give it away this Sunday.
We do. This Sunday. It's coming up already, man. Ooh, I don't want to give it away. But this Sunday, we're going to be announcing that during our live stream, the winner. All you got to do is go to Instagram and Twitter. Look at the post that we posted about it. Tag 2 friends. Like the post. Boom. You're entered. You could win this. This could be in your house next week.
Well, shipping's going to take a little bit.
A couple days. 3 days. 4 days.
It's yours.
It's yours. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into our show, let's talk about the beer of the day that we got today. We picked this up a little bit ago, actually. It's called the Cosmic Handshake. It's by 6 Point. It's actually a collab. It's by 6 Point Brewing Company and Victory Brewing Company. We actually had Victory Brewing Company on the show a couple weeks ago.
No, it was, I want to say the first week.
Was it the first week?
I want to say it might have been our first show. We had the Golden Monkey.
Yes, you're right. We did have the Golden Monkey. Where is it? It's over there somewhere.
Yeah, we were talking draft strat. Yeah, that was episode 1.
Wow.
Yep, episode 1.
Full circle.
Coming back.
This is episode 39, I think?
I don't even know.
I think it's like 39 or so. But dang, man, I can't believe. Felt like forever ago. Obviously, you can see our collection of beers over here to my left if you're watching on YouTube. We've got quite a bit, and we're going to add this one to it. I haven't tasted it yet.
I like it.
Let me take a little sippy poo.
It's a good sour.
Mm-hmm.
It is actually it's a sour New England style double India pale ale. Huge mouthful with a mouthful of flavor. So great beer so far. We'll get to it in a little bit when we get a little more into us. A lot of injuries, a lot of news, some quarterbacks leaving the games. We got Mitch Trubisky gone.
Dun, dun, dun.
Fire up that Nick Foles leading the comeback against the team that's easiest to come back against.
So I think when I was statting out, I think I had Mitch Trubisky playing through week 4. So
I had him at week 4.
So very close on that. But I can't believe he's already back in. It's a good thing for Allen Robinson and that whole offense, I think. I think Allen Robinson's going to get a ton of targets. I think Anthony Miller is going to benefit as well. Did you hear the story about their last touchdown?
Of Anthony Miller's last score?
Mm-hmm.
In the game-winning touchdown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard it? About it? What happened? What Nick Foles told to him?
Oh, no, I didn't hear that.
So I forgot. I was watching ESPN or listening to something this morning. And I guess Nick Foles went to the huddle and told him if it's an all-out blitz, run to the L in the end zone, in the ATL. And that's what happened. Nick Foles got hammered, and the ball landed perfectly in Anthony Miller's hands. So pretty cool little story. He's like a street kind of football player. Can make some of those adjustments real quick. But do you see him as a fantasy-relevant quarterback?
Yeah, obviously. I think he's going to have a decent amount of relevancy. That team in itself has pretty great receivers between Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, and even Darnell Mooney, who are all really solid receivers in their own, let alone that Nick Foles does have his highlights. He's got good years. He's got bad years. I think he's going to be solid. I don't think he's going to win you your league, But if you're hurting for a quarterback and he's available and the waivers are empty, it's a solid pickup. I'd take him over someone who's just going to be there for a couple weeks, like Nick Mullins or someone like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And he put up, in the time he was in, he put up, pretty solid stats, 188 yards. Did throw an interception, but he threw 3 touchdown passes. So you can't complain about that. And I definitely think he will give you weeks. These next 2 weeks, I think, are going to be pretty tough. They play Indy next week and Tampa Bay the following week. But I definitely think, there's other weeks in there that he's going to be startable. So,
yeah, I definitely like him as a nice little pickup for a lot of people here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, anyways, Tariq Cohen, unfortunately, he tore his ACL and is out for the rest of the season. Jordan Reed, he got hurt like 3 times in this game, in the San Fran game. It was one on an almost touchdown. Got banged up a little bit later, and then ended up hurting his knee. He has an MCL injury, and he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Dude's had this problem, unfortunately.
It's his motif. He comes in, he balls out, he gets hurt right after you pick him up. So everyone that picked him up last week after that huge week for him, can't say you didn't see it coming. You took the risk.
Yeah, unfortunately. But, I wish the best to him and for him. I'm hoping he gets healthy and maybe another shot. I don't know. I'm glad it wasn't, as weird as it sounds, I'm glad it wasn't another concussion because he has dealt with a lot of concussions, and that's never good. Michael Pittman, he had surgery on his compartment leg syndrome. So the Colts did put him on IR. And then Chris Godwin, he's going to be getting a MRI on his hamstring because he got injured in this last game too, unfortunately. If he's out for any extended period of time, kind of like we said week 2, he was out. Mike Evans. So, Chris Carson, did you see the tackle?
You're talking about the one where they
Tristan Hill, man,
rolled with his knee.
Mm-hmm. It was horrible. I mean, that's not even.
I did hear that there's more than likely no suspension coming too.
Right, but a fine.
Fine.
So, and he deserves it. Potentially, I mean, depending on how they see it. I mean, a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of players are talking about it. I saw it on Twitter.
Dirty. The league's kind of at the point where if you're doing dirty things that's going to hurt someone, everyone's about just making their money for their families at this point. And so when you hurt someone like that, you're going into their pockets, you're affecting their season. It affects a lot more than just you guys losing that game. Mm-hmm. So it really hurts, and no one wants to see it happen.
Not at all. We hate injuries, and when you're out there headhunting, it's even worse. But Chris Carson, he does have a mild knee sprain. They did say that he could play this week potentially against the Dolphins. It would be a pretty good matchup for him if so. But I'm not banking on it. He was in quite a bit of pain when it happened, so keep you updated on that. Keep an eye on it. Deshaun Jackson had a hamstring injury this past week, but they are saying it's not going to be, or they don't consider it too serious. Dallas Goedert, he left the game, the Eagles game, with an ankle injury, and he's going to miss some time. So Zach Ertz is
going to be getting a full load. He just opened up the floodgates.
Yeah, seriously, because, I mean, I don't think that, Carson Wentz has nobody else to throw to.
No, they're slowly running out. It's kind of what happened last year, except a little bit earlier.
Yeah. So, and then let's see, Lyle Collins, the right tackle for the Cowboys, he was put on IR for a hip injury this past week. So that offensive line's already been struggling a little bit. They did move Frederick, their center, over to right tackle, and then had I forget exactly who filled in that center spot, but it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough for that offensive line. Like I said, they were already struggling a little bit. The Cowboys are always known for their offensive line, but we'll kind of see how they adjust there. And then Raheem Mostert and George Kittle, they're both going to be reevaluated on Wednesday. Have a look at their knees and see if they're going to go this week. George Kittle wanted to play this past week, but inevitably sat out. So he might be back this week, and hopefully Raheem Mostert is, because John and I need that.
Yeah, we need those running backs deeply. But even if Raheem Mostert comes back, are you expecting him to be that full workload one?
No.
Okay. It's gonna, you think, split with Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, or Jarek.
Isn't he out?
Did he get hurt?
He got hurt. That's why Jeff blew up this week.
Really? I did not see that. I'm pulling that up right now. Jarek McKinnon. Let me see here. Jarek McKinnon. Yeah, rib contusion, day to day. So, yeah, him and Jeff. LaMichael Hasty could be a sleeper there. Pick him up.
Yeah, they're just going to go running back by running back, pick up their running back every week on the waivers, put him in, get a nice 15, 20 points out of him, and then go on to the next one.
I did play Jeff Wilson in one league this week, and
it worked out. I mean,
I still lost. I mean, my team's trash. It's an orphan dynasty, but actually, no, I'm sorry. I am winning at this point. I can't let. Currently, the Ravens-Chiefs game is going on, and J.K. Dobbins can't score one more point or I lose.
Did you see who Patrick Mahomes threw that last touchdown to?
Eric Fisher.
Someone you can't even pick up in fantasy football leagues.
Yep, Eric Fisher.
That's funny. Love to see it.
Yep. Could have gone to Clyde Edwards. That would have been a little nicer, but oh well. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is our injury news and everything going on around the league. We're going to obviously keep you updated this week. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, like I said. At the Fantasy Tap, we retweet a lot. We tweet a lot. We retweet a lot to kind of keep you guys up to date on what's going on with injuries and news from around the league during the week when we're not recording. So keep an eye out for that. But drum roll, John. Let's get into studs and duds. Great one. Great drum roll.
So who was the studliest stud or the dudliest dud?
The dudliest dud, in my opinion, was Gardner Minshew.
Really?
Yes.
My dudliest dud would have to be Darren Waller.
That was pretty dudley of him.
That was you can only get so much worse.
I don't know. Gardner was just so hyped up. I was looking at him. I was drooling over him. I started him over Deshaun Watson against Pittsburgh. Shot myself in the foot, and he did not play well. He didn't get really any help from his receivers. Keelan Cole was quiet. The other one,
LaVisca?
No, LaVisca was okay, but
Chris Conley?
Chris Conley, bro.
Kept missing the ball. He did not hold on to it.
I mean, Gardner did drop, one or completely miss one wide open shot to Chris Conley. Would have been a touchdown. He completely burned the DB there, but that was a big miss. But I would say Gardner is mine. A couple other duds are Joe Mixon, of course. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm very upset with him. AJ Green, Hayden Hurst, OBJ, the entire Giants backfield. You could really say the entire Giants offense.
But from quarterback, receivers, tight ends, just
all
everyone.
Darius Slayton was one of them.
The kicker did all right.
Yeah, thank goodness.
He got 3 kicks in.
Whoop, whoop. Josh Kelly, Kenyon Drake, Leonard Fournette, and Jared Cook are some of the guys that we're not too happy with.
No, if they were in your lineups last week, they definitely hurt you. Obviously, a couple of those people were supposed to have big weeks, and we're just coming off huge ones. Like we were saying, Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller, both people that, if you had them on your team, they are must starts. You drafted them to play. They've been balling, coming off great weeks. Joe Mixon, you said you got a little bit of heat for him? Yeah,
I don't like him right now. He's not living up to the hype. I have him in a couple leagues, unfortunately, and he's getting the touches. He's just not very efficient. I don't know if that's his offensive line. I mean, his offensive line is horrific too, but I mean, he's getting the lowest. He's gotten 20 or more. He's gotten 20 or 21 touches in each game so far, and he hasn't scored a touchdown, which has really hurt him. But he's last week he averaged 2.9 yards a carry. Same for the week before, and then not much better, 3.6 the week before that against the Chargers. So I'm upset. What do you do with Joe Mixon?
I think at this point, you put him on a trading block. You find someone who sees upside in him and try to package him with someone else. I think you trade him away. He's too much of a value to hold to just drop. You're not just going to drop
don't
Joe
drop
Mixon. If you're dropping Joe Mixon, you've got issues. So I definitely think that Joe Mixon, you're going to want to trade him away to someone who wants the possible upside with him later with the season. Because there are people out there that do really think that Joe Mixon will get it working with that offense soon. Just needs Joe Burrow to kind of figure it out a little bit more. He's got the passing game going. He doesn't mind running the ball a little bit. But definitely get rid of Joe Mixon, because if he's just sitting on your bench, he's hurting you. And if you're putting him in your lineup, he's hurting you too.
Yeah, this week, I mean, they play the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, potentially this week, and we keep saying it, but potentially this week he could be the week he kind of gets it together. But it doesn't look too great after that, because he plays the Baltimore Ravens and then Indianapolis Colts following that. So, two teams that are pretty good against the run. So, yeah, I mean, I would personally, what I would do with Joe Mixon, and I'm going to do with Joe Mixon, I guess, is I'm going to hold on to him for this week, see what he does, hope and pray he has a good game, gets back in the good graces of fantasy owners, and then at that point trade him away. If he doesn't do much this week, then
it's
abort. Jump ship.
Abort the Mixon.
You're not dropping him. But if you can trade him for something, then do so. It's just not looking good right now. Somebody else on the Bengals offense that's just not looking themselves right now, A.J. Green. He's getting the targets, but he's not typical A.J. Green,
Last week he did come out and make a comment about how starting this year was a little rough for him, because he's just coming off that season-ending injury, and he's just getting comfortable, like, putting himself out there again, which, coming from an older receiver, kind of is a little scary, because if he's not confident in himself, you can't be confident in him. His quarterback won't be confident in him. But he does get the targets, which is the only reason that, like, I'd rather hold on to A.J. Green than Joe Mixon at this point. And that's kind of weird for me to say.
Really?
But I do think that A.J. Green's a catch away from those bad weeks being good, while Joe Mixon's just not doing it. He's getting targets. He's not finding the end zone, and he's not bringing them in. But I do think A.J. Green's someone who's going to have huge weeks. It's just going to be rare at this point, and then more common towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, once him and Joe get clicking, it could be fruitful. But in my opinion, I would keep Joe Mixon, just because he has shown last year he could do it. And he's a very talented back, and hopefully they can get him going. But AJ, I'm not dropping, but a couple more bad weeks, and it might be time. It might be time.
Yeah, I mean, if AJ Green gets to the point to where he can't put up in the next couple weeks, I would drop AJ Green, because he doesn't have the value. While Mixon, you're definitely not dropping. You're trading him. You're getting rid of him.
Right. So, another player that's quite interesting, Leonard Fournette. He was, after last week, he was supposed to take over for Rojo, because he played really well. He did have one long touchdown, 50-yard touchdown run, which helped pad his stats, but he got in the end zone twice. Before that, he was 11 for 53 approximately, and then this week, fumbled the ball, didn't look good at all, and his yards per carry were only 2.1, not very efficient whatsoever. So I think Bruce Arians kind of didn't like that. He punished him. Rojo got the bulk. He got 13 carries, Rojo did, to Leonard Fournette's 7. Now, I do think it's going to take a little bit. Rojo isn't the guy there, and I don't think he will be. I think Leonard has more of a chance to be the guy than Rojo does. But Leonard just didn't look good at all this week, against a bad defense too, with some injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Rojo's not the guy. I don't think that either of them are their guy. I think they're both key weapons, or both weapons for the team, and it's a hot hand day. They see who's running hot.
I'm tired of all these hot hand.
But that's just kind of what the NFL is turning into. You see a lot more committee backfields than pure one running back teams than ever. I mean, Chris Carson, even though he's definitely the primary back there, even he has Carlos Hyde getting a handful of shares. Gio Bernard and Joe Mixon. I mean, it's all over the NFL now, and there's only a couple teams that really have pure runners or pure number one backs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, if you were to own one, who would you want to own if you had?
Out of the two of them?
Mm-hmm.
I would want to own probably Leonard Fournette, just because I do think Leonard's more talented. But I think this year, it's just going to be a back and forth boom or bust on both of them, and one of them is going to have a little bit better of a game, unless either of them finds the end zone.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
They'll get rid of one of them in this offseason.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think they will as well. Kenyon Drake didn't look too great this past week. He had 2 flexible weeks the past 2 weeks, but this week, he rushed for 73 yards, didn't find the end zone. He was pretty efficient, but it's not what you want from your second-round running back.
He's consistent. He's consistently running back 2 to a flex. Definitely not someone you wanted to spend a second-round draft pick. Hopefully, I don't even want to spend a third on someone that might be getting me those point totals week in, week out. He was someone who was talked about having a huge year after 2019 was going to end up, and we gave him 3 chances to do it, going against Detroit, Washington, and San Francisco when San Francisco had a bad week. I think Kyler's upside is killing Kenyon Drake. He's not getting that pass-catching work. He's only in 5 targets all year. I don't think that's going to be changing for him. He's kind of in that Joe Mixon category, except I kind of think you're going to get more for him at this point.
Yeah, no, if you would definitely get trading away Kenyon, you would get more for him than you would Joe Mixon at this point. He's got some really good matchups coming up, though. Carolina, and then the Jets, Dallas, Seattle, Miami. All those defenses are struggling a little bit, or not top notch. So I definitely think he has an opportunity to string some solid games here, especially in the next couple. So I like him for the next couple weeks, see what he does, and go from there. But anybody else you want to touch on our duds list that you want to maybe bring up? The Giants' backfield, we said stay away from him last week. I'm staying no matter who it is, Devonta Freeman, Deion Lewis, Wayne Gallman, all of them. I'm staying away from that. And
I'll be quick on this one. Josh Kelly, that one really surprised me.
It hurt.
Just to see how efficient Austin Eckler was doing back there, just to see Josh Kelly not be as efficient, especially when he's had 2 good games so far this year. Though he kind of dudded out on us, I don't think that this is a reason to fade him. I think it's someone to keep an eye on still.
Yep.
Definitely not someone I'm going to be wanting to put in any roster this week, but I do think he's going to have some good games.
Yeah, don't drop him.
No, definitely not a drop candidate.
Austin Eckler had a great day, and he's in our studs actually. So,
don't tell him.
Well, we're about to get there. Hayden Hurst, I think you could. Is he droppable?
Hayden Hurst droppable. Well, yeah, you only want to roster 1 tight end, maybe 2.
Yeah, but a lot of people picked him up as their 1 tight end.
I don't blame you coming into the season, but
I did. I'll say it. I picked him up as my tight end.
No, I definitely. Tight end. Yeah, if I wanted to go late to mid-round tight end, but no. You can still find decent tight ends in some leagues, just on waivers who have high upside almost week to week. Jimmy Graham, Greg Olsen, Chris Herndon are all people that are sitting there, and it's not as high upside as you're going to be getting from Hurst, but it's a tight end. You're taking a risk unless it's someone who's obvious.
Yeah.
And you're kind of just doing matchup play. I wouldn't drop him, but I would look into streaming a tight end.
See who has a better matchup.
Matchup dependent, and if he doesn't have a good matchup, then I'm staying away.
Okay, awesome. Now let's get into our studs, the guys who won you the week. First off, Rex Burkhead, the bald man himself, balled out, got in the end zone. Well, he got in the end zone a bunch, 3 times. 3 times. Sony Michel had a pretty good game too, over 100 yards there. Not bad for that.
Can't complain. For a backfield most people want to stay away from, you really can't ask for much more.
Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, James Robinson, Robbins family.
Oh.
Swiss Family Robinson.
Swiss Family Robinson.
Swiss Family Robinson. Alvin Kamara, a.k.a. the best back in the league. Justin Jefferson. Cedric Wilson balled out. 2 touchdowns there. Jimmy Graham, play the tight end against the Falcons. Cooper Kupp, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry got in the end zone twice. I said that. I said it. Who else? Let's see here. Dalvin Cook. Oh, my goodness. Jeff Wilson, also. T. Higgins. Brandon Ayuk, the Goofy movie himself. James Conner, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Michael Gallup, and Alan Lazard. And I apologize, Justin Jefferson. I said your name, but damn. 175 yards, son.
Yeah, he absolutely balled out, and I almost guarantee about half the people that have them on their roster are kicking themselves today because they more than likely haven't played him, and it's mainly just due to the fact that Kirk Cousins hasn't done much. But does this turn him into someone that's a strong start week by week?
I wouldn't say strong start, but I would say you got to look at him now. You got to go get him. You got to go get him.
Matchup dependent.
Yeah.
Like say it's a good matchup for the Vikings. Are you playing Thielen or Justin Jefferson now?
Oh, I'm playing Thielen all day long. But what's been happening is the Vikings, nobody was really stepping up. BC was supposed to do a lot more than he's been doing, and Justin Jefferson proved that he can do it. So, and they need that strong second wide receiver. And it's funny because Dalvin Cook balled out the same week that they finally got another receiver in. So they need that second receiver, and that really helps out their run game. So I think that he is going to take over that number 2 spot, and he's going to be there are going to be games this year that he's going to be solid flex player, very solid flex player. So I'm very excited for Justin Jefferson. I grabbed him in a few of my dynasty leagues. He's on my taxi squad. Let him marinate a little bit this year.
He was on my bench.
Ooh.
Wonder how that happened. Oh, I'm sorry. We missed one of our duds. Darnell Mooney.
Yes. The Moonster. Yeah, that was pretty deadly.
Sorry to get away from that one.
It's all right.
But back to the studs, the guys we're actually happy about.
What do you think about Rex Burkhead?
I think Rex Burkhead was awesome.
Me too.
It's his motif. Someone that never expecting him to do anything. But he'll come in 1 week and put up 20 points. He'll come in 1 week and put up 30. He won't do it again for 4 weeks.
Nope.
When all the running backs get healthy, he'll do it again randomly.
Yep.
But I think it's awesome for him. It kind of just makes me, again, just not comfortable with anyone in that New England backfield because you don't know what they're going to be doing. It's game script dependent, and it's Belichick doing it.
Yeah. Yep. Big thing there. Belichick doing it. And James White's coming back, like you were saying earlier. And Damian Harris might be coming off IR here shortly. So that backfield, I know they both balled. Sony Michel had a good game. Rex Burkhead had a really good game as well. But I'm not going to the waivers and picking him up personally. Just too much risk. I mean, the Rams backfield's given us headaches enough with 3 of them. Imagine 4. Imagine 4 in the backfield and having to choose each week. Keenan Allen, boy, 19 targets from oh my goodness. Justin Herbert loves him. So I am on that train. Love Keenan Allen there. We picked him up in a couple of our leagues, and I think this is really where he starts to make that wide receiver 1 run. So great for him. James Robinson coming out of the woodwork. And just
the woodwork. He's been hot all season.
But, I mean, putting up 30 points? Woo!
He just got in the end zone. I mean, he's put up over 100 yards, I want to say twice this year. Oh, just once. He put up 100 yards on the ground last week against Tennessee, and then was also able to do 90 yards between his air and rushing yards in week 1. This week he was able to do 130 between the two.
I'm talking about those targets and those receptions. I like that. 6 for 6 for 83.
It's a baller.
I like that for my running back. Catch the ball.
2 touchdowns as well. Love to see it. Just jumping back really quick. Austin Eckler as well as Keenan Allen, they were in the same game. But both of them really seem to just ball out when Justin Herbert's there. He does love his top targets. like you said, we jumped on the Keenan Allen train at the end of the offseason, just looking at things, and I'm really happy that we did. Austin Eckler is someone that we were hyping up all year, and almost both of our drafts that we were in, I want to say that we were either trying to get him or we did get him. So it's great to see both of them really doing well. I love that Justin Herbert's there.
Me too. I don't think Tyrod comes back, even if he is healthy. I know they were talking about it today. He's like, "Oh, I'm not going to make any decisions." No.
Do you think he's just being safe?
He is trying to keep his job.
Do you think he's trying to keep motivating Justin to practice hard?
Maybe it's rude. It's rude. Tell him he's good. Tell him he's playing well.
Maybe.
But Anthony Lynn's a good coach. I mean, I think with all the injuries and stuff like that, I mean, he's doing pretty well for himself.
I think if Justin Herbert didn't do as good as if Tyrod would have been playing to this point, I think he would have been on the fire candidates.
Maybe. No, not yet, because their defense has been completely hurt. Last year, they didn't have a quarterback. Austin Eckler was their only offense. And, I think overall he's a pretty good coach. But, anyways, Alvin Kamara did Kamara things. Justin Jefferson, we talked about him a little bit. Baller. Cedric Wilson, one guy I do want to talk about, only getting 31% of the snap shares and scoring 2 touchdowns. Between him, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper, he had the lowest snap percentage. So I'm not looking for this. I'm not expecting him to be as involved every week. More of a flash in the pan this week,
especially going up against the Seahawks, who are someone who's putting up so many points. So you have to go into a shootout with them. So someone who's going to be catching touchdowns for Dallas this week.
Exactly.
And like you're saying, flash in the pan, that low snap percentage. Too many talented receivers, not even weak ones on the team. So you're not going to want to go out and spend huge fab or drop a good player trying to pick up this guy and expect that from him. Mm-hmm. This, not going to say it for sure, but this might be one of the best games of his career, if not his this year. So just be happy. Good for him. Clap it up for him, but don't go chasing him. It's not going to help you in the long run at all.
No. Cooper Kupp showed up. Jimmy Graham, like we said, play the tight end against the Falcons. Nick Chubb doing Nick Chubb things. I'm glad he could string 2 games in a row together. Derrick Henry finally got in the end zone. Did it 2 times and put up over 100 yards on the ground. Dalvin Cook balling out. Kind of like I said, They need to get that passing game going for him to really flourish and run like he did last year. So I'm very excited for that. Did I say I'm excited for Justin Jefferson yet?
No, I think you missed that one.
Okay, all right. Jeff Wilson, good pickup as well. With Jerick McKinnon day-to-day. And Raheem Mostert, potentially they're reevaluating him, so it could be a play this week. T. Higgins, he had a couple touchdowns, pair of touchdowns on 4 targets, but him and Burrow seem to have a little bit of a connection when they do go and connect. So I like him. We're going to be talking about him a little bit later. Brandon Ayuk, you like that?
I like Brandon Ayuk.
Yay. James Conner balling out. Benny Snell, not so much. D-Hop doing D-Hop things. Tyler Lockett, oh my goodness, 3 touchdowns. He was wide open on 2 of them. And then Michael Gallup, finally, he's here. He has appeared. And then Alan Lazard balling out last night while Devontae Adams was vacant or not there.
Vacant.
Yes.
No, he just wasn't there. He wasn't vacant.
Whatever.
He just wasn't on the field. But Alan Lazard really showed up, did very well, especially in that little shootout against the Saints yesterday. Really happy for him. A lot of people expected him to have a huge year.
John, guess what?
What's up?
Clyde Edwards outscored Mark Ingram by more than 12 points. I am going for a victory.
Is the game over?
The game is 28 seconds away.
I just won a 2-quarterback league with Dwayne Haskins and Teddy Bridgewater as my quarterbacks.
Let's go.
Dynasty, I had no other option. No one hate me.
So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, those are our studs and our duds. Like we said, Patriots backfield, stay away from but, the other guy, a lot of these other players, they're going to ball out. They're going to have great weeks. But let's get into our waiver pickups. Some guys who had very good weeks or have strung a couple together, and we're getting on the train now. Myles Gaskin, only owned in 45.8% of leagues, had a great game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Clearly that team's number one running back. And, didn't get in the end zone, but he combined for
105 yards. 105 total yards on 27 total touches. Like I was saying on Thursday's show, even though they do have Burita and they do have Jordan Howard's that 3-yard back. And Matt Burita is just someone that just can't seem to get it going for them. Myles Gaskin really showed out a little bit last year and then really balling out now. So I think that they're going to keep riding with him and take that young talent and try to do whatever they can with it, especially with how young that team is. So I'm really hot on Gaskin, and I'm grabbing him when possible in most of my leagues.
Yeah, definitely. Justin Jefferson, we talked about it. He really opens up that run game for the Vikings. He's only owned in 33.5% of leagues. If he's out there, grab him. I think he's going to have those flexible games. I think Kirk Cousins and him are going to start. He's going to get targeted more, which is really going to in turn help Dalvin Cook. So they need that passing game to work in order for that run game to work, and in order for them to win games, they got to do both. Hunter Renfrow, quite a good game.
He did pretty well. You did have Henry Ruggs out for the game, and then Bryan Edwards got hurt about halfway through. With Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller really not showing up, someone had to for that team. I think personally that Hunter's someone that's kind of just a flash in the pan, unpredictable week by week. But we possibly have Ruggs and Edwards out again this week, so he could be a really, really hot streaming option for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And if it continues, someone you just want to continue playing or even just have him ride your bench and predict those good weeks for him.
Yeah, he ended the year last year on quite a hot streak. 2 games, put up over 100 yards each game. And like you said, Gruden did say that they are concerned about Ruggs and Bryan Edwards. So pick him up. He's only owned in 6% of leagues. T. Higgins, another great option. Like I said, him and Burrow have a bit of a connection. I like him a lot for down the road. AJ Green has not been connecting with Burrow, and I think that's going to really help out T. Higgins. Now, obviously, I think Tyler Boyd's
their number one without a doubt.
Yeah. So, but I do like T. Higgins. He's more of a long play, but pick him up while, if you have that extra spot on your bench to be able to hold somebody, I would pick him up and let him. You're the one that wrote this.
I didn't write T. Higgins.
Yeah, you
This
did.
is your guy.
No, because I fixed the G. It had 1 G in it, so I put 2.
Yeah. I'm not really hot on him. I think, like you're saying, though, he could be a really good long play, someone that towards the end of the season is going to be having bigger weeks than he's going to be having now. He's only gotten 15 targets in the past between all 3 weeks, this week being his hottest game. But the week before this, Mike Thomas for the Bengals was the second receiver. Yep. And it kind of seems that it's Tyler Boyd, AJ Green gets his targets, and then we're going to actually throw it to someone else. So I think that T. Higgins, but I do think that he's he's an extremely talented receiver. So I do think that if you grab him now, he's coming off of a hot week. So if you're going to want to grab him and you do think in your mind, like, hey, playoff time, this could be someone that could be taking over a good share of that offense and balling out, you're going to have to grab him now, because after coming off a week like this, someone else is going to be picking him up this week, and you're not going to be having much of an option. So if you want him, you have to do it now. I wouldn't go spend a huge amount of fab on him. I wouldn't go drop someone great for him.
Yeah, fab-wise, I'd probably spend maybe 5%. Yeah, something like that. Maybe even a little less.
Yeah. But week 14, 15, they're playing Dallas and Pittsburgh, both allowing a lot of passing yards and points to the receivers right now. And then Houston, week 17.
And
then,
right before that, Washington, New York, and Miami.
yeah, so towards the end of the season, he could have big games, and in deep leagues, definitely someone you're going to want to roster and at least have there. Hopefully, he's even available for you. I mean, he's only owned in 7% of leagues, but I'm going to assume it's a lot higher if you go anywhere in deep leagues or like dynasty leagues.
Yeah. Now, how do you feel about Braxton Berrios?
I think that if Braxton Berrios is playing, Jamison Crowder's out, Le'Veon Bell's still out, and Rashad Perryman's still out, I think Braxton Berrios is someone you're going to want to at least flex. I mean, they don't have targets. They have no one else to throw the ball to.
They got to throw it to somebody.
I don't know if you were sitting next to me watching the game. Kager?
Yeah,
Cager?
Cager, man.
The man got 4 targets, caught 2 of them, and act like he just won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Can't wait to see what he really does. But I think Braxton Berrios isn't someone that's going to win you leagues. But if you're looking for a random flex or just someone to stream for the week because you have the rosters, you have injuries or bye weeks or whatever, and their targets are questionable, who's going to be catching the ball for that team, they've got to pass it to someone. He's obviously someone who they like in the end zone. He's okay. He's a good play sometimes. Matchup dependent and injuries everywhere else dependent. He's coming off 2 weeks, and right now Jamison Crowder's possibly out again this week, and Rashad Perryman's out.
And they're playing the Denver Broncos.
So it could be a good week to play him again. Streamable, not long-term rosterable.
Right. Yep, I agree.
Low fab on him, but if you're
3 to 5%.
Yeah, if not free. I'd put $1 on him. If no one else pays the $1 for him, I'm happy.
Yeah. So I do like his matchup this week. I mean, the Broncos have allowed a ton of points to the wide receiver. So, but they also did just finish playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But anyways, James Washington, 4.5% owned. He didn't really do. I mean, he did pretty well after Deontay left the game. So with Deontay Johnson out, he does have a concussion. He had 7 targets after Deontay left. So, and that's what you like to see. You know, he's stepping into that second role. They need that second wide receiver there. And he's only 4.5% owned. Go pick him up now. You don't want to wait on him. He could really take over and not get all of those targets potentially, but definitely get a good bulk of them.
Yeah, I mean, someone else that a lot of people would be jumping to, being if Deontay does miss time, it would be Chase Claypool. But Claypool got 76% of the plays on the field. He was only targeted 4 times, only catching 1 of those, getting his first 3 incompletions of his career. So I think that James, when Juju, Deontay, and James were there last year, when Juju went down, James balled out. James Washington's an extremely fast and skilled receiver. I think that him and Big Ben are going to do a lot, especially if he's looking for another target downfield. So I think that, again, he's someone that's going to be injury dependent if you're playing him.
Yeah. So Allen Lazard, somebody who everybody was on, really on for that wide receiver 2 for the Packers, showed out last night.
As the wide receiver 1.
Did very well against the New Orleans Saints. And especially with Devontae out, I mean, we could see this again. So he's only owned in 39% of leagues. So check and see if he is on your waiver wire, because he could be a solid start. He had 146 yards, people. 146. And he was targeted 8 times. So the Packers are really hurting for that wide receiver 2 to show up and really take over. They ended up drafting the damn quarterback in the draft, and people were kind of shocked. But I mean, he had a great week 1, kind of week 2, but really flourished here with Devontae out. So if he is on your wire, pick him up. He also plays Atlanta next week, so that could be a big shootout game.
Absolutely.
I mean,
you're playing receivers against Atlanta, no matter who they are. I mean, even the Bears receivers last week.
Anybody. John and I line up against the Falcons.
I'm getting 50 yards.
You're picking us up. I might even score.
I might break a leg, but I'm getting 50 yards. No, something I like a lot about Lazard is, like you were saying, even though with Devontae was there, week 1 and week 2, he was getting 4 or 5 targets for about 50 yards. Mm-hmm. That was while they were still trying to figure out, is it Allen, is it MVS? I think after last week, MVS only got one target. I think Lazard's the guy for them, even when Devontae comes back. Without Devontae there, Aaron Jones had a quiet-ish night. Not absolutely quiet, but didn't do too much. Maybe just overshadowed by Alvin Kamara's outstanding performance. But I think Allen Lazard's someone you're definitely going to want on your team. Possibly one of the strongest candidates on any of our waiver pickups here. This is someone I'd be spending like 15% fab on.
Yeah, I would say Gaskin is probably the only, just because running backs are so hard to come by right at this point, but Gaskin is the only one I'd spend a little bit more on. Other than that, Allen Lazard is definitely the best option here that we've talked about. And that's only because of his position, wide receiver. I'd spend 12, 13%, 14%, somewhere around there on Lazard. If he's available, Gaskin, I'd spend 15 to 20 if you're really quarterback or running back needy, 20 to 25 there as well. Brandon Ayuk he had a great week this week, only owned in 16.6% of leagues. Looked really good with no Kittle, no Debo, no quarterback. Overall, pretty good game. Put up 8 targets. He had 70 yards, 5 catches, and then he did rush 3 times and had a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, he balled out, especially with that lack of running backs because of all the injuries. He was able to get his head into that rushing game, and they saw it. They did it last year with Debo. Debo got himself 100 plus rushing yards on the season on I think it was 4 carries maybe. So I think that especially while Debo's out, he's possibly practicing this week as well as George Kittle. As long as Devo's out, I think Brandon Ayuk is going to be someone that's going to be getting a lot of work. But I also think that when the entire team is healthy, if that ever happens, if Jimmy G comes back, Brandon Ayuk's there, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle, I think that Ayuk will get good, flexible weeks consistently with Deebo not there, or with Deebo there. I think Deebo's slightly more talented. Kittle's obviously one of the best at his position, to where Ayuk's going to be that guy that's going to be open. And with them having those talented receivers, including their tight end on the field, not only does it open up their run game, which they're already amazing at, but it makes them more available to go to that passing option. And so I think that he's someone that will have a lot of value later down the road as well. And especially in dynasty leagues in a few years to come. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great receiver.
Yeah, he's going to be a good receiver. My only concern for him, I see it. I think that once they have Kittle back, once they get everybody healthy, their receivers, their running backs, and everybody like that, I don't see much of a much value in Brandon. He will have games. He will definitely have flexible games. It's just picking him out. But I think Debo, I think he's poised to take the next step. And then Kittle, of course, is going to get his targets as well. But for now, while they're out, pick him up. He's low owned, and he has high upside, and he's got the rushing upside with not many running backs there in the San Fran backfield. Now, before we get to our beer of the day, let's go over our streams of the week really quickly here. Ryan Fitzpatrick is my quarterback. I just spit. Quarterback stream of the week. They're playing the Seattle Seahawks, and it's going to be a tough matchup. But the Seattle Seahawks defense is not the defense of old. It's not the Legion of Boom. They don't have as strong of a pass rush as they did last year or years prior. Their secondary isn't as good. Jamal Adams is a little banged up at this point and has been playing good, not great. And they've allowed over 1,300 yards to opposing receivers, which is the most in the league. Now, they obviously haven't been in a ton of shootouts. Russ has been cooking. But Ryan Fitzpatrick has showed that he can sling the ball too. So I think this week it's going to be a high passing game. The Dolphins, they have Myles Gaskin, and he's good fantasy wise, but he's not somebody you can rely on to slow the game down. So I think the Dolphins are going to have to pass the ball a ton, and I think that's going to benefit Ryan Fitzpatrick this week. He's also currently the quarterback 12. So,
I mean, yeah, he came off an amazing week. So my streaming quarterback of the week, someone that I think is going to be in an absolute shootout just based off of how their offense have been rolling this year, that's going to be Baker Mayfield, someone who's been hot not again this year, but I do think this is going to be one of his hot weeks, going up against the Dallas Cowboys, someone who just had that shootout against Atlanta, followed by the shootout against Seattle. I'm not expecting him to be putting up anywhere near those Ruffs or Matt Ryan numbers, but I do think that he's obviously going to be coming in here and getting a chunk of yards here and there, as well as a couple touchdowns. Having OBJ, Jarvis Landry, and Kareem Hunt there to catch the ball for you really opens up that field when you need to move the ball downfield. So I think that Baker's going to be someone that's going to be easy for you to come in and stream over someone who's either underperforming if you need another quarterback for the week. Really, really good play for him this week. Owned in 20.7% of leagues. So, Dallas is currently the third most, or allows the third most points to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So I think here we go, Baker. Fire him up. It's one of those weeks.
There we go. My tight end stream of the week is Dalton Schultz, only owned in 24.1% of leagues. And yes, I know you're going to say, but Michael, he was supposed to ball out last week. He didn't, whatnot. But he's got a great matchup against the Cleveland Browns. He's on the field a ton. He's getting his targets as well. He got 10 targets in week 2 and 6 targets this past week. So I like the target share, and that's what you want in your tight end. He was also on the field for 68% of snaps, and the Cleveland Browns have given up the third most receptions to tight ends with 22. And I like Dalton Schultz. He's going to get some targets. He's going to get some catches, and he may even get in the end zone here. So pick him up. Like I said, only owned in 24.1% of leagues.
Yeah. My tight end of the week is actually going to be Robert Tonyan.
Ooh.
Like we were saying earlier, what we've seen so far this year is if you're playing against Atlanta, no matter who your tight end is, they're going to find the end zone and they're going to get a chunk of yards. And this week with Green Bay playing against Atlanta on Monday night, I think that Robert Tonyan's going to be someone who Aaron Rodgers has been finding a lot of comfortability in these past couple weeks. Is just going to continue to keep it on a roll. Love him for this week. Definitely an easy play for me. Currently only being owned in a handful of leagues. Someone that you can easily pick up in most formats. But I think that anyone you're playing against Atlanta, especially in that tight end positions, just automatic play for me. Atlanta's letting up the most points to the tight end.
Yeah. So my flex option this week is Carlos Hyde. Now, this is, put a little asterisk next to this, if Chris Carson does not play. He's only owned in 9.8% of leagues. The Dolphins are not great against the run. They have allowed, the bottom quarter of the league in points against the running back, and they've allowed over 170 receiving yards as well as over 260 rushing yards. So I think that Carlos Hyde is going to have a great, potentially a great game against the Dolphins. Pick him up. Last year he finished as the top, I think, running back 14 is what I believe is.
Hyde?
Yeah, last year he finished. I don't have it off the top of my head, but he had a great year last year, and with Chris Carson out potentially, I think he could take that backfield over. He's not going to be too involved in the passing work. That's more going to be Travis Homer, but I think he is going to get the bulk of the carries, and I'll have a pretty good game.
Carlos Hyde finished running back 23 in standard and 31 in PPR in 2019.
There we go.
Yeah. Great pick. But going back to my last thing, Robert Tonyan's owned in 0.2% of leagues, meaning that there is a 99.8% chance he's available in yours. So if you need a tight end for the week, an easy pickup for you. My flex of the week is going to be Jeff Wilson. Obviously, like we've been talking about, those 49ers running backs keep getting hurt, and with how their offense runs, any of them are going to eat depending who it is. Found a lot of work in that short amount of time last week, and is going to probably see it again this week going up against
The Jets?
The Jets, yeah. So going against the Jets, one of the worst. No, they're not going against the Jets.
That's what you have written down. Hold up. We'll look it up. Don't you worry. Jeff Favre Wilson is going against the Eagles.
Yeah, going against the Eagles. So that's someone who's obviously a weak team's allowed a lot of points. The running backs currently ranked 22nd most points. But with that weak offense and how strong that 49ers offense runs the ball, easy play. If Raheem Mostert misses time, it's an obvious play. And then even if Raheem's there, he's more than likely going to be sharing the ball.
Yeah.
And they run the ball efficiently enough to where both of them can be efficient.
Yeah, I like him a lot, especially if Jerick McKinnon's out too. Like we said, he's day-to-day. So Jeff Wilson is a solid play this week. And we'll give you another one real quick because we kind of agreed on this. Scotty Miller against the Chargers this week. Only owned in 12.2% of leagues. Didn't do great when Chris Godwin was out missing. But I do think that this week he's going to have a solid week. He's getting his targets. And last week he put up over 80 yards. So if you need a flex option or a wide receiver option, don't be afraid of Scotty Miller.
No, don't be afraid of him. But just don't bank on him. Like we said, we did see him not have the biggest workload when Chris Godwin was going to be confirmed out the week prior. He seems to thrive a little bit once one of their top receivers goes out mid-game or is just working a little slow. I think it's because of game script. I don't know. Personally, I think it's possible that the Tampa Bay just runs the ball a little bit more this week. And you'll see either Leonard or Rojo break out a little bit more. But Scotty Miller's going to be on a high-powered offense with a quarterback that loves his style. So,
yeah. So, in my defensive stream of the week is the Rams against the Giants. That's all I'm going to say. They're owned in 20.8% of leagues. They've got a horrific offensive line compared to the defensive line of the Rams. They also have a good secondary, and their linebackers there in LA have actually stepped up.
Doing all right.
Stepped up. Micah Kaiser just won Player of the Week, Defensive Player of the Week last week. So they're stepping up, and I think they're going to be a great play. Pretty much anybody versus the Jets or the Giants, you're going to play.
Yeah. Oh, call me out.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
Call me out.
Sorry.
So, obviously, for the Thursday night game, my defensive stream is going to be the Broncos.
Against the Jets?
Against the Jets, mainly just because when you're looking for a defensive play, you're really looking for a low-scoring game against a team that's going to put up a lot of turnovers. And at that point, we're talking about the worst team in the NFL right now with questionably a very bad quarterback back there who let the ball go a lot last week. He's probably going to be seeing it again. I don't think this game's going to be very high scoring, and I think just on that point, along with a pick or two, you're playing the Jets. It's an easy play for you. They've best team to play against they've allowed the most points to the defense.
Sam Darnold turns the ball over.
Almost as much as Kirk Cousins in week 1 and 2.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So, great plays there. You got anything else for him, John, before we get to our beer of the day?
I mean, do you want to go over Thursday really quickly? Just a couple ballers there? I mean, Patrick Mahomes put up another 40-point game.
Oh, today? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Monday.
Yeah. So the game just finished. Patrick Mahomes balled out. CEH had a great game. Tyreek Hill did okay. I know he caught a touchdown.
Tyreek Hill did great. He got 5 catches on 6 targets for 77 yards and a touchdown, as well as 2 carries for 25 yards. Mecole Hardman got 4 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown, and then Sammy Watkins was targeted 7 times or 8 times with 7 catches. No receivers for the Ravens did anything. All the tight ends were underwhelming, and all the running backs were underwhelming. as well as Lamar Jackson being slightly underwhelming for me.
Yeah. You know who's an interesting play, though? Or not play, but just keep an eye on him? Devin Duvernay. He did only have 3 receptions, or 3 targets, 2 receptions for 7 yards. He did have a couple rushes as well, but he did, it looked like, at least in the first half, they were trying to get him the ball a little bit. And he did have that kick return.
Yeah, that was his touchdown.
Yeah, that was his touchdown. So, but like you said, none of the receivers did anything. Mark Andrews, dud of the week. We can throw him in there. Didn't look good. Lamar didn't look good either. I mean, he's another dud, or was today. I feel like I don't know if he gets in his head too much in these big games, but I feel like he tries to do a little too much in these bigger games when he's in the spotlight. So hopefully he can get out of that, because I have them winning the Super Bowl this year, and I got some money on it.
Yeah, I think whoever who plays the Ravens next week.
It will be.
Oh, and it's Washington. Oh, they're about to get smacked.
Yeah,
They're about to get smacked.
Dwayne Haskins might not be the quarterback after next week.
Oh yeah. Did you hear about that? Ron Rivera's said that he's going to give him one more chance.
Yeah. Well, he said there's there is a point in time at which he could there's a time
Go
frame.
to Alex Smith.
Yeah. So that's why I picked up Alex Smith in that Superflex league that we got.
You want to trade me him? I'll trade you Dwayne Haskins.
I just cut Dwayne Haskins in a Superflex league.
I just started him in one.
And you won. Can't beat it.
Against Lamar.
But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Now let's get into our beer of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, we were drinking the Cosmic Handshake by 6 Point Brewery in collaboration with Victory Brewing Company. This was a bomb beer. I like this a lot. Possibly my favorite. Potentially the first 9 I give. Potentially.
I like it. It's good.
So
it hits hits everything for me.
Yeah, it really did for me as well. 6 Point Brewery was founded though in 2004. In 2010, they started releasing their canned beers, and then in 2017, they took their biggest step forward to date, releasing all of their ales raw and unfiltered, simultaneously incorporating new and incredible raw materials obtained over years of sourcing. They love creativity. They like to do different stuff with different beers, and this is one of them. And like I said, they did it in collab with Victory Brewing Company, who is a very big brewery or brewing company. With some really great beers. They make that sour that I want to try.
Sour Monkey.
I keep seeing that on Instagram. They keep posting it, and I'm like, oh, we got to get that. But anyways, go to their website, sixpoint.com, and you can check out all their beers, where they're located. In Brooklyn, they are off 40 Van Dyke Street. They're in Brooklyn. That's where their tap room's at. So go, if you're in that Brooklyn area, go visit them there. The can art's pretty dope. It's got an orange and a blue hand, kind of dapping it up.
A universal dap.
Yeah, Cosmic Handshake. I'm assuming one side is Victory Brewing and the other side is 6 Point, because I know the Victory Brewing has like that bluish
and 6 Point has that orange.
Boom. And then it's got the cosmic stars in the background.
And the 6-pointed star.
Yeah.
For 6 Point, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Absolutely love this one. We're definitely going to have to get some more from it. As we mentioned, this is a sour IPA, and I couldn't be happier.
Me either.
Making a lot of moves on those IPAs on me. It's actually hopped with Idaho 7, Mosaic, and Citra T45. 9%, and could not taste any bitterness. I couldn't find an IBU rating for this because I don't think there's one bittering unit. But if you pour it out, it pours to this real clear, bright yellow, beautiful, light golden color. And it smells so sour.
It does.
I love sour. It smells beautiful. Really did enjoy this. As far as flavor, I mean, I don't get anything. It honestly is pretty cool to me because you do get that like really mellow hoppy, along with the strong sour without it just being two different flavors that
Right.
overwhelm each other or just so opposite that they're just fighting for it. It blends and just
Very
meshes
well.
so well.
Very well. So down to my rating, I'm going to give this a 9.1, potentially one of my favorite beers ever. I mean, I really like this one. I do like the fact that it gives me that sourness when I take that sip, but I also like that I can taste the hop just a tidbit there in the back. It's a perfect beer. It's a freaking. If I had to describe this, I would say it was a handshake in the Cosmos region. Cosmic Handshake.
Oh, wow. Absolutely spectacular. So I'm going to be very blunt. This is officially my favorite beer.
Yeah.
It hits. As everyone that listens knows, I enjoy my sours. Really enjoy that flavor. But I don't like drinking them because then I don't feel like I'm actually enjoying a beer. I feel like it's more of just an off type of drink. But like you were just mentioning, that hoppiness coming through at the end is just so nice. I do really enjoy that flavor, and that lack of bitterness is just so easy to continue to drink. And especially if you were to eat food with this, it would complement so much. So I'm giving it a 9.3.
Woo!
Like I said, this is my favorite.
It's great.
I don't think I've rated anything that high, so I hope so. But no, I don't think there's much more to this that you could do. Really happy for him. I don't have anything in depth as a universal cosmic DAP, but it's a damn good beer. So
it really is.
So shout out to you guys. Definitely going to be looking for some more of what you guys have there. I do see that you guys have your own hazy IPA.
Oh, they've
that
got
would
a
probably
ton.
be great. You have a couple of them actually.
Look at this. All this.
So thank you guys from 6 Point and Victory for coming together and producing an absolutely wonderful beer.
Yeah. Favorite beer. But yeah. I haven't yet to taste a beer this good. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, go to their website, sixpoint.com. You can also hit the beer tab there, and then you click on the can that looks like this one here if you're watching on YouTube. It says Cosmic Handshake, and then right there you can hit find it, and it will tell you how you can find this beer. I'm going, what time is it? What time does the store close?
3 hours ago.
All right, well, I'm going to go open up the store and tell them, or knock on it and tell them to give me some more because it's that good. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. John, tell them how they can win the Kenny Galladay jersey and tell them how they can send us questions and stuff like that.
Yeah. So if you guys want your chances to win your Kenny Galladay jersey, sign on this wall here in that beautiful, nice lion silver with the blue outline numbers. Just make sure you guys are following us on Instagram and Instagram and Twitter. You have to like the photo and comment with 2 friends. Make sure they're fantasy football fans, people that also might want to win this jersey. That way you get more chances to have one of your friends win it. Hopefully someone does win it.
Somebody will win it.
Well, someone will win it, but hopefully someone you know wins it, or someone that you introduce to us will win it. But send that. We're going to be at the Fantasy Tap on Instagram and Twitter. And then if you guys have any fantasy football questions, beer recommendations, or anyone that you want to know start sits, trades, anything that's going to be on, come to us at the Fantasy Tap at gmail.com for our email, and at the Fantasy Tap again for our social medias. We answer all our questions whenever you send them to us, and if they're really good, they'll make it on the show. Make sure you guys check us out again this Sunday.
Actually, they'll pretty much always make it on the show.
So make sure you guys check us out this Sunday again for our pregame live streams, and then we will see you again on Thursday.
We love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you all got them dubs.